Happy 420. I'm Kai.
And I'm Queen Reefer.
And you're watching Stone Cold Murder. Just a PSA, if you have any information to help solve a crime, you can go to crimestoppers.com to report any information anonymously.
This podcast contains material that might not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Season 3, Episode 10, everyone. This is our final episode of the season. So welcome. The season. I have, as you can see, this nice helmet.
She said, this nice
helmet. I got it for a Christmas gift exchange. Wait, I can't show you the logo. But just know, each one of these cans, just know that each one of these cans contains 100 milligrams. I attached this straw, and this one, I'm going to get fucked up. So I hope you guys all join me in the debauchery. Alright, help me open these cans too.
Okay.
Queen is going to help me open this can because instructions are slightly unclear, but I think I got them.
What is this?
I just pulled it
Root
up.
beer. Is it good?
Oh, why is the thing so small?
Why is that hole small?
That's what I was wondering too.
No, I think you push it up. Like, yeah.
Like that. It's gotta be child-proof. So. How's it taste?
Like root beer.
Yeah, you want to try this one? This one's cherry cola.
Like root beer with a hint of weed. I like cherry cola. Waiting for it.
Wait, how does this straw go?
It's just like a dab afterwards. Bruh. This is gonna fit.
It doesn't want to go in. It's like forcing it out.
Pause.
That's crazy.
Hello. Going to hoe. Hold on.
20 minutes later.
You see that?
Yeah, how are you supposed to drink this all if it like don't even...
Oh, I got it. You just have to persist. Dude, I'm crying already.
I'm really persisting.
Okay, here, let me try
persist. You go in.
2 hours later.
It's like a double layer. It's because it's probably child-proof.
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Okay, no. Does it work?
So you're root beering and cola at the same time. How does that taste?
Tastes pretty good. You want to try it?
I'm okay.
Should we put it on?
The last time I had any kind of edibles, I almost missed my flight, so... Is it backwards?
No. I can't wear this the whole time. It's gonna fall off my head. So, yeah. I have already chugged an equivalent of one of these. And taken plenty of dabs. Let me take another sip. The bubbles are spicy. Why is it spicy?
Why is it spicy?
I actually have a Why Is It Spicy painting that I painted back here. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna share with the class.
Wow. Everybody tell her how good her art is.
I'll do it to this camera.
Wow.
It's blinding in the other one.
Why is it spicy? So, you ready to get into it, you think?
I'm ready.
You ready?
Oh, you watched the TikTok I sent you about this case? It was months back where someone thought their grandpa
Oh, yeah.
was
I
the
did.
killer.
Yeah. It's very convincing. I didn't include it in this episode, but I almost did because I almost am on that theory. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's gotta be someone's father or grandpa or something.
Well,
Family.
it's gotta be someone. So, yeah.
So, yeah. All right, let's start.
She said, or something.
Or
Well,
something.
I mean, that's how it got here. Shall we?
No, you're not.
I'll do it again.
I know, you will. You're so fun. Okay, so
Guys,
then.
I just really want you to know that I really am not a mean person. I really am so kind.
The kindest.
So, just wanted to put that out there because all we show on this show is me bullying you. So, I wanted to make that crystal clear.
Yeah, she's not a bully at all. Help me. She's my favorite person ever. Alright. So, nobody ever think the lovely, beautiful, most perfect sister in the whole world is ever evil or mean to me ever, okay? Thank you. Alright, let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
Little do they know we're both evil.
We're just like both in. The devil is out today.
Neither of us are kind. Who's getting more kind? She said.
I don't want to be here no more.
Oh, you can take a little joke.
Not joke for me. My family. They're so mean. They say I'm not nice when I'm trying to be a good person.
You were the one saying you were evil.
I didn't.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was convincing
me.
chat that I wasn't evil. Evil! Let's use the power of friendship.
Ding. To get started. You ready?
I've been ready.
Okay, let's do it again. Matt, can you do like a little sparkle noise when we hit our fingers? Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, we're ready. Our story starts out on December 20th, 1968, in Vallejo, California. At 8:30 p.m., 17-year-old David Faraday drove his 1961 station wagon to pick up his date, who was 16-year-old Betty Lou Jensen, from her home. The two were on their first date and were excited to spend the evening together, which, aw,
Cute.
that's so adorable. The two of them first visited one of Betty Lou's friends and hung out for about 20 to 30 minutes. And then about sometime after 9, they drove to what was referred to as Lover's Lane.
Ooh.
Yeah, and this is located on Lake Herman Road.
Damn, I want to go visit Lover's Lane.
I know, doesn't that sound cute? They parked for a bit and did, what teenagers do. I think they fucked. And they parked for a bit and, made out or talked or whatever you do on Lover's Lane. Probably fucked. At 10:30ish, a driver noticed the couple parked on the gravel runoff near the gate next to like a water pump station. And then again at 11, the two of them were spotted by a different driver passing by. Just noted that they saw them.
Same area?
Yeah, same area. Only a few minutes later, at 11:10 p.m., a woman named Stella, her mother-in-law, and her daughter got into a car to go pick up Stella's son from a show. They drove down the quiet, dark, winding road and eventually came to a small pump station located on Lake Herman Road. Stella noticed a station wagon that was parked on the side of the road, and the wagon's door was wide open, and she could see the driver hanging about halfway out of the car, which is not a good sight on a dark, winding road.
Yeah, no, that's terrifying.
Yeah. She could also see a young woman laying on the ground near the vehicle. So Stella decided to drive straight to the police department to report what she had stumbled upon. And actually, as she was driving, she actually came upon a police officer, and she was flashing her lights to try and get their attention. And Officer Daniel Pita and William Warner took Stella's statement, called in the report, and then headed to the scene. When the police arrived at around 11:20 p.m., they found Betty Lou Jensen laying face down, dead on the scene about 30 feet from her car.
Jeez.
Or from David's car, I should say. David Faraday was found still breathing, just barely clinging to life. A bullet had gone through his left ear and then through the back of his head.
Oof.
Which, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Police followed him as he was transported to the hospital in hopes that they could maybe get a statement from him once he arrived. Unfortunately, he died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital from his injuries. So they were unable to talk to either him or Betty Lou. The police who did stay behind to investigate found several small caliber bullets on the ground and 2 bullet holes in the side of the car. Investigators determined that between 11:05 or maybe like 11:10 p.m., their assailant parked the vehicle about 10 feet from the passenger side of David Faraday's car. So this is where Betty Lou would have been sitting. He fired several shots at David's car, and then he walked around to the driver's side. They believe none of the first initial shots hit David or Betty. They believe that the couple tried to scramble to get through the passenger's side door, but then Betty Lou did succeed in getting out of the car because she was found like 30 feet from the vehicle. But as David Faraday was exiting, the killer shot him in the head with the .22 caliber rifle.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you try and get out in that situation? Am I missing something? Why wouldn't you try and drive away?
Isn't that always like the classic act? Because you would, like in a scary movie, you would see something like that and you would definitely be like, what the fuck?
Sorry,
I also have to adjust. Yeah, I feel like in a scary movie situation, you would be saying that same thing. Like, why the fuck are you getting out? But I don't know, maybe in that presented in that situation, you freak out.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier to think of what you would do.
Yeah.
Until you're actually put in that situation with all that adrenaline and not thinking clearly.
Right. After the attacker shot David, the attacker then chased Betty Lou, and as she tried to run away, he fired 6 shots at her back, hitting her 5 times. Later, an autopsy determined that the bullets hit her heart, liver, and right kidney, which was what led to the significant blood loss that she suffered, and ultimately her dying. Police theorized that the entire attack only took 2 to 3 minutes.
Jeez.
So it was a pretty quick attack overall. There were no witnesses to the actual murder, no usable tire prints, no footprints, or honestly no clues really pointing to who could have done this or why they would have done this to these young lovers. And despite the murders being extensively covered by the media and intense investigations, in the following months, no suspects or clues to who or why were found to help point them in the right direction. On top of the lack of evidence, the local police department has not really dealt with a murder in over 5 years in this county.
Oh, wow.
So they were very inexperienced in dealing with such a violent crime. So I kind of think that led to a lot of it not being anything being found. You know what I mean? This left everyone stumped as they tracked down a motive and the person responsible for the murders in the next coming months. On July 4th, 1969, 22-year-old Darlene Ferrin and 19-year-old Michael Magoo were prepping to go on a little date that night. Darlene was a popular waitress who was actually married at the time and had met Michael while working, and apparently they hit it off. So they were going out that night. Yeah. Darlene arrived at Michael's house to pick him up at around 11:50 p.m. that night. And as the couple left Michael's house, Darlene drove in the direction of Lake Herman Road. They planned on getting a little dinner, but as they approached the restaurant, Darlene pulled a U-turn and headed towards Blue Rock Springs Park instead. Darlene turned her car into a parking lot at Blue Rock Springs Park, where there were already 2 cars parked in that parking lot. This was also another known lover's lane, and this was located just 2 miles from where Lake Herman Road was, where the other incident took place. Darlene parked about 70 feet from the lot entrance, and then as she put her car in park, the other 2 cars that were there just pulled out of the lot. They were like, skirt. They didn't want to be around. So that was leaving Darlene and Michael alone in the parking lot together. The 2 sat parked talking and joking with each other, and Darlene told Michael that she had something to tell him that she hadn't told him before. As this happened, another vehicle pulled into the lot and parked about 80 feet to their left. The driver turned his headlights off and sat there motionless and then drove off again. Which I would be like, I don't know if I would stay.
Yeah.
I don't know. About 5 minutes later, a vehicle again entered the lot. Michael thought it might be the same vehicle that had just drove off, but he wasn't actually certain, so he was kind of like, So this car parked just a few feet next to Michael's side of the car, and then a man got out.
Yeah, drive away.
Right?
Bye.
Right, I'm leaving. Michael asked the driver who he was through the window, and as he did that, he flashed his flashlight into the car as he approached. So the couple thought maybe the approaching stranger was maybe a police officer, so they rolled down the windows to hand him their IDs. And without speaking, the stranger fired a 9mm pistol into the car. One bullet hit Michael in the right arm, and the other hit Darlene in her neck. Without saying a word, the shooter then turned around and walked back into his car. Michael let out a scream from the pain, obviously, from getting shot in the arm. Michael was like fighting and struggling to get himself out of the car, but then the stranger turned back around and realized that he was still alive.
Yeah, that's like, oh, that's so unfortunate.
I know.
That's why, like, in those types of situations, just, I mean, I'm sure he was in agonizing pain. But,
yeah.
You know, like.
Right. Yeah, so he was like, oh, fuck, he's still alive. He turned around, and then he returned and shot Michael and Darlene 2 more times each. The attacker climbed back into his car and then drove off. The first person to hear the shot was a golf course caretaker who was nearby the crime scene. And then there were 3 teenagers who drove into the parking lot and saw the wounded couple. And then they went to go get help. So between both of those people seeing them, police arrived at the scene about 12:20 a.m. And the headlights to Darlene's brown Chevrolet were still on. And the sound of the turn signal clicking with faint music from the radio made the scene just a little bit more eerie as they got out to investigate, which...
That is creepy.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like a movie scene. All of this, like, this whole case is kind of like, it seems like a made-up story almost, you know, but it's crazy that it's a real-life story, so. Michael Magoo was found laying on his back outside the passenger door. He gestured to the officers as they approached to help, So he was like, help.
Oh,
So he was still alive. Mm-hmm. The officer could tell that he had been shot in the chest, neck, and his left leg.
And his arm.
Yep.
Well, he probably couldn't tell that, but...
Yeah.
Jeez.
Right. Darlene was found slumped against the driver's side door. She had been shot twice in the arm, once in her side, and in her neck, and then she was found still breathing as well. The ambulance was called for Darlene, where she was taken to the hospital, where she was unfortunately pronounced dead 20 minutes later. Michael only managed to tell investigators that a white man in a brown car was responsible. Michael was rushed into surgery, but once he was in better shape, he was able to describe the attacker a little bit better to police. He described him as a heavy-set white man, around 5 foot 8 inches tall, and he estimated his weight about 195 pounds to 200 pounds, with a large face and curly light brown hair. The killer wore dark clothes and no glasses. Unfortunately, these details were not really enough to develop a suspect, because it's kind of like, it's kind of generic, but it did help at least narrow it down for police to start looking. At around 12:40 a.m., Vallejo Police Department received a phone call from a payphone located 2 blocks from the police headquarters. The man on the other end of the line said, "I want to report a double murder. If you go 1 mile east on Columbus Parkway to the public park, you will find kids in a brown car. They were shot with a 9mm Luger. I also killed those kids last year. Goodbye."
Ugh.
Yeah. The voice was steady and emotionless, to the point it gave the 911 operator, who was Nancy Solver, the chills. And what she said sounded like a rehearsed confession. So,
I don't like that. That's gross.
Bad vibes. Right off the bat, we don't like this.
No.
So this call was traced to a nearby payphone, and this was at a gas station. But when the police arrived, the phone booth was completely empty. Of course. He's not going to get caught that easy, we don't think.
He's like, you know what? I'm going to stick around.
I'm going to head out. The gas station nearby had been closed for about an hour by that time, so there were no witnesses around to confirm the identity of the caller, which is probably purposeful on his end.
Yeah.
As police investigated, it quickly became clear that just like the first murders of Betty Lou and David, there was no evidence or clues left behind at the scene. However, Darlene's husband's parents reported receiving a mysterious phone call the night of the attack at 1:30 a.m.
Ew.
Yeah. They heard heavy breathing, and then the caller hung up.
Ew.
Yeah. Isn't that disgusting? So, I don't know. And it wasn't even her parents. It was her husband's parents.
Yeah, that's weird.
Isn't it?
Don't like that.
No, me either. So detectives start to suspect that part of the killer's intentions were to just strictly mock his victims and the people surrounding his victims by calling them and just taunting them wherever he could. And you'll see this become more prominent as the case goes on. But the family did report receiving annual phone calls on the 4th of July from someone who identified himself as the Zodiac.
Ew.
Yeah. So, like, even years and years after, every 4th of July, this motherfucker's calling them.
So it's, like, targeted? It's not just, like, random people?
Yeah. Or it could be, but I'm pretty sure at least a few of them have been from the killer, you know? I think it's interesting that the killer's taunting people. Like, he obviously takes joy in doing that. Even to the point of, like, potentially exposing himself and, like, revealing his own voice.
Yeah.
Because, like, back then, you're not really getting a voice code, like, decipher thing. Or not decipher, but, like, encryptor.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? whatever, a voice disguiser.
Yeah.
You know? So this letter here was sent on July 31st, 1969 to the Vallejo Times, San Francisco Chronicle, and the San Francisco Examiner. All received letters written by someone taking credit for the attacks in Vallejo. The 3 letters were nearly identical and read, "I am the killer of the 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman and the girl last 4th of July." All 3 letters had notable amounts of misspellings and was the very first definitive link between the 2 separate attacks in Vallejo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course they had the call, but before then they weren't like, maybe it's not really connected. Maybe it's someone trying to take credit for it, you know? But this was like the first official one that they got. He gave a short list of facts about each crime that only the police and the killer would know, since the information had not yet been released to the press or the public.
Gross.
Yeah. He gave the brands of the ammunition used in both murders, as well as some specifics about his victims and the number of shots fired. Which was like, that's calculated.
Yeah. Sorry. Like, you're counting when you...
Which is
that's
crazy.
Gross. I don't like that.
Yeah. Inside all 3 letters was a different cryptogram. Each got 1/3 of the code. So each paper got a different one.
So then I had to kind of like put them together to try and figure it out.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like him.
Yeah,
I don't
creepy.
like them.
Yeah. They combined to form a 408 symbol cipher. The writer claimed, "In this cipher is my identity." The writer demanded the codes be printed on each newspaper's front page on August 1st issue. He said if they were not printed on the Friday morning issue, he threatened to, quote, "cruise around all weekend, killing lone people in the night, and then move on to kill again until I end up with 12 people over the weekend."
What a psycho.
Yes, I know. The letters were all signed with the symbol resembling the crosshairs of a gun sight.
Oh.
Yeah.
What a freak.
And the same symbol was found on the ciphers as well. So the cryptogram was published on the Friday's edition of the Vallejo News Chronicle. And this was actually the only paper to do so by the Zodiac specific deadline.
Why?
So the other 2 people did not do it.
Why? Why would you
know.
fuck around like that? Like, you obviously know this person's capable of, like, horrendous stuff.
Yeah, they said that they didn't want it to, like, ruin the image of the paper.
So you're just okay with, like, 12 people getting killed because of your stupidity?
Yeah, they were like, well, we don't know if it's going to be, like, actually a real thing or if it's just, like, this guy bluffing, you know? But,
Okay,
like,
then better safe than sorry.
I agree.
Were the police not involved in this at all?
In the newspaper, they were. But,
So they're just, like, your discretion, like, whatever you want to do?
I think they assumed that they were going to do it. And they do end up doing it, but it was, like, the next day, and it was not on the front page. They did it on, like, the 2nd and 4th page.
That's just stupidity.
It is stupid to mess around with.
Like,
They were trying to fuck around and find out.
yeah.
With other people's lives.
With other people's lives. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You're stupid.
Yep. It's stupid.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
You're stupid.
Can I say that? So, Vallejo Police Chief Jack E. Stilts publicly challenged the killer and said, "We are not satisfied that the letter was actually written by the murderer." And he requested that the killer send more facts to prove his identity. Now, obviously, the first letter had a bunch of information, but I think they were trying to, like, bait him into hopefully messing up and recognizing that the fame-obsessed killer, recognizing that a fame-obsessed killer like the Zodiac is what I was trying to say, would be tempted to respond back.
Yeah.
It was like he wants that.
Yeah, he wants that credit. But it's also smart to, like, maybe try and get more information out of him. Like, just on the fact, like, we don't think it's you. So his ego is like, oh, let me prove it more. But then they get more information out of him on, like, more of a like suspect.
Totally.
Whatever.
It's easier for him to slip up too. Exactly. So yeah, they were hoping that he would be tempted to respond back, obviously.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I'm assuming he didn't because they were hoping he would. Sorry, I read way too much into things, so just go ahead. Again.
My next line was, and they were right.
Yep.
On August 4th, the Examiner received a letter that started, "Dear Editor, this is the Zodiac speaking." This letter marked the debut of the Zodiac's name and the first time the killer called himself by this nickname. So nobody else was really calling him the Zodiac. He was calling himself, hey,
I'm a
this is
Zodiac.
me, the Zodiac. The second letter to the media was much longer than the first, and the killer did just as the chief requested. He provided more information about both murders, including details to the minute about how he shot Michael, and described the golf course caretaker from the second murder. He also revealed that he had taped a flashlight to his gun in order to aim easily in the dark. So that's why they saw that flashlight shining. It wasn't a fucking flashlight. Well, it was, but taped to his fucking gun, which is scary.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah. The killer alluded back to his cipher, stating, quote, "When they do crack it, they will have me." And this is it here.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like, what in the fuck?
Fucking Morse code, bro.
Yeah. So both the FBI and the CIA attempted to decrypt the Z408 cipher. On August 5th, two people in Salinas, California, a couple named Donald and Betty Hardin, cracked the code. So they said that the key to cracking the code was looking for the word kill and the phrase, "I like killing." So given the context of the letter, the couple guessed that one, if not both of these, would be used in the letter. So by guessing that and guessing correctly yet again, they were able to crack the code, which is interesting. The message was filled with intentional misspellings, and I say intentional because the police believed that this killer was a very smart individual who was trying to disguise himself as someone who's stupid.
Yeah, who's not.
Yes. And they in this second letter, or this cipher, it referred...
Stella.
Yeah. So the message was intentionally filled with misspellings, and it referred to a short story called The Most Dangerous Game. The Zodiac explained killing was a way of collecting slaves for his afterlife. Yeah.
Ew.
Yes. So the full text of the decoded cipher reads, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest, because man is the most dangerous animal." And you could see these misspellings. Of all. "To kill something gives me the most thrilling experience. It is even better than getting your rocks off with a girl. The best part is that when I die, I will be reborn in paradise, and all that I have killed will become my slaves. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife."
Ew. I hate him.
Yeah, is that what you thought that code would say?
Ew, no. And, like, the misspellings are, like...
They're weird, huh?
You can obviously tell it's intentional.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, like, a dyslexic thing.
No,
like, it's
to
like...
throw people off.
It's, like, really bad.
Yeah, like, it was hard for me to read some of it.
Paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, like, obviously so...
And it's stupid. It's stupid parts
Yeah.
of the words. Yeah. So, cracking this code really didn't lead them much closer to solving the Zodiac's identity, nor did it really reveal any promising things to help point them in the right direction.
Didn't he say, though, like, once you crack this, you'll know who I am?
Yeah. But then he said, I'm not going to reveal my identity because you'll try to slow me down or stop my collecting of slaves.
Well, he said collecting.
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 Atop
my collecting.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. No.
It's just interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's where we're going to take our first smoke break.
Yay.
Right.
And this smoke break is brought to you by the drink. Chug, 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 chug.
Stella's joined us.
The pod dog.
Yes. I finished my drinks. Queen Reefer has planted crops. We're back from our smoke break. On September 27th, 1969, at 4 p.m., 20-year-old Brian Hartnell and 22-year-old Cecilia Shepard, students from Pacific Union College, were having just a little picnic on a small island in Lake Berisa.
That's so cute.
I know. So the two of them were having their little picnic, just having a nice little time, enjoying their time together. And Cecilia noticed a man watching them, which is terrifying.
Yeah, that.
Don't ruin my picnic.
That's scary. I don't like that.
So the man came back from like behind a tree with a black hood on his face.
No.
Yeah.
That's even worse.
Yeah, and like clip-on sunglasses on top of it. And wore like a bib with a 3x3 crosshair symbol on it. So that's the little symbol right here. That was on all the letters. Oops.
Ooh, and then he got a hoodie made.
Yeah.
Or maybe not made, but...
Yeah. He had a gun pointed at both of them. And the attacker said that he had escaped jail after killing a guard and needed their car and money to travel to Mexico. He made Cecilia bind Brian with pre-cut lengths of plastic clothesline. And he tightened Brian's bonds because, like, the ones she tied, he said were not tied enough. So he tightened them. And then he made the two lay face down in the grass. And as soon as the two did, he stood over Brian, drew a knife, and then stabbed him in the back. Cecilia screamed and watched in horror as Brian was stabbed over and over and over.
Jeez.
After stabbing Brian several times, he then moved over to Cecilia. By the time his rampage was over, Brian had suffered 6 stab wounds, and Cecilia was stabbed 10 times. Once Brian knew that the killer was gone, he crawled his way to Cecilia to try and free each other. They were both very weak and struggling and losing lots of blood in the process. But eventually, Cecilia was able to untie Brian's wrists, and with all of his strength, he was able to sit up and untie her.
I hate this.
I know. It's sad. Cecilia had lost too much blood at this point and wasn't able to move, so Brian stumbled and crawled his way to the gravel road to get help. As he collapsed on the ground, an approaching vehicle stopped, and 2 park rangers were the ones that found and tended to Brian and Cecilia, and then they wrapped them in blankets until an ambulance arrived. A fisherman and his son actually reported hearing people screaming for help in the area, and the park rangers were the ones responding to that call. So lucky for Brian, they were able to find him right away on the road. Just before the first officers arrived on scene at around 7:40, the police station received a phone call about the attack. At first, they assumed that it was a park ranger calling to just inform them about what was happening. The caller claimed and reported a double murder. Then right before he hung up, he whispered, "I was the one that did it." And then the call ended.
Ew.
Yeah.
I don't like him.
I know. So the call was again traced to an empty phone booth just a few miles from the police station. Napa County Deputy Dave Collins and Ray Land responded to the report of the attack. Unfortunately, Cecilia Shepard went into a coma during the transport to the hospital, where she never regained consciousness, and she died 2 days later. So, very unfortunate. Brian Hartnell, however, survived, and he was eventually able to recount his statement. Police on the scene searched the area for any clues or witnesses to the attack, coming up with nothing except for the note the Zodiac had intentionally left for them.
Oh, at the time? Like, at the scene?
Mm-hmm. It's getting more and more bold. I know, it's like a movie, right?
Yeah.
I know.
He's just, like, playing with everyone.
Yeah,
he's disgusting.
He's an asshole.
I don't like him.
I don't like him either. So investigators found that the Zodiac Killer hiked 500 yards to Knoxville Road, leaving several footprints behind, actually. So the Zodiac Killer left a note on Brian's car door. He drew that crosshair symbol on Hartnell's car door with a black felt pen and wrote beneath it, Vallejo, 12/20/68. Underneath that, 7/4/69. Under that, September 27th, 69, 6:30. Under that, by knife.
So it's the, like, killings
Uh-huh.
dates?
Yep, so you can see it right here. So he made sure to specify September 27th because that was that attack, and by knife because he had not killed by knife before.
Mm-hmm.
That would be his first time.
Oh my god!
I'm sorry, I didn't get to warn
Jump
you.
scare, bro.
This is the composite sketch.
That is horrifying. That is, like, so scary. Like,
I
that
know.
actually jump scared me.
I know, it's terrifying. Could you imagine him looking at you through the forest? Behind a tree?
I don't want him looking at me in general.
I don't
Like,
want you
at
looking
all.
in my direction. Sir.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Terrifying.
that, like, took me out when I saw that.
He's scary. You're right. He
'Cause
kind of looks like Pinocchio.
I wasn't looking, and then I looked over and I was like, scary.
Yeah. So there's the composite sketch.
Yeah.
He's
scary.
I know. Sorry for the jump scare. Police were able to track down people who had visited the lake that day in order to see if anyone had seen anything out of the ordinary. Earlier that same day, a suspicious man had been seen around the lake by several people. A dentist and his son saw a heavyset man looking at them from a distance before he, like, hurried off.
Ew.
Like, shuffled off. I know. Again, the strange man was spotted by 3 women at around 2:30 p.m. as they stopped on their way to the lake. After they arrived at the lake, so I guess this was, like, on their way to the lake. So after they arrived at the lake, they laid out to sunbathe, and then they noticed again he was watching them.
Immediately get up and leave.
Uh-huh. So these women worked with a photographer named Robert McKenzie to create that composite sketch that you just saw. And
That was
using
scary.
Yes, that was awful, isn't it? That would be the man that they saw watching them sunbathe. Yeah, immediately know. Police then showed the image to all other potential witnesses. The suspect was described as being roughly 6 feet tall and weighing about 200 pounds, which matched the description by Cecilia and Brian. Napa County Detective Ken Narlow was assigned to the case, and he worked on solving the crime until his retirement in 1987. So they believe that the Zodiac drove 27 miles from the crime scene to a car washed in like downtown Napa. There, he used a payphone to call the Napa County Sheriff Department at 7:40 p.m. He told the dispatcher he wished to report a murder. No, a double murder. And then he confessed to the crime. He did not hang up the phone, he just left.
Damn.
Yeah.
I hate him.
I know.
Again.
I know.
Over and over. I'm just going to keep saying it.
Yeah. It's a frustrating one.
He's just like playing around.
Mm-hmm. He's an asshole. He just likes to toy with people and torment them.
Yeah.
It's like... So KVON radio reporter Pat Stanley found the phone off the hook just a few minutes later after this call. The payphone was located a few blocks from the sheriff's office, and detectives were able to lift a wet palm print from the phone, but they were never able to match it to any suspects. So next we're going to come up on the final victim that is associated with the Zodiac Killer. Of course, a lot of people do attribute a lot of other murders to the Zodiac Killer, but this is the last one that he claims. So there may or may not be other murders from him, but this is the last one that we get.
Like confirmed.
Exactly. So this happened on October 11th, 1969 at 9:40 p.m. in downtown San Francisco. 29-year-old Paul Stine was a doctoral student and drove a cab when he wasn't in class or studying. His shift started out just like any other. He clocked in at 9 p.m. and had been driving around for about an hour when someone waved him down for a ride. Little did he know that this ride would not be like every other ride. The man gave Paul a destination, and it was in Presidio Heights. When the taxi arrived at Washington and Maple Street, the man asked to be driven just one more block down. So this block was Washington and Cherry, and the taxi arrived at 9:55 p.m. Paul parked his taxi, and the man in the passenger seat then shot Paul in the head with a handgun, took his wallet and car keys. 3 teenagers witnessed the murder from a house directly across the street from where Paul's cab was parked.
Could you imagine?
No. That'd be awful.
Like, I couldn't even imagine just, like, looking out the window and, like, actually witnessing something like that.
No.
That would be awful.
It was, terrible. They saw his body slumped over and laying across the killer's lap. The killer's face was clearly visible and lit up by the streetlight as the teenagers watched the killer wipe down the vehicle and then go through Paul Stine's clothes afterwards. He left behind 2 partial fingerprints and a right handprint. While he was distracted in the cab, the kids took the opportunity to call the San Francisco Police Department. They described the criminal as a husky white man in a dark or black jacket. The dispatcher misheard the description as being a black jacket and mistakenly heard black suspect. So when they reported it to the police department, 2 minutes later, they were reporting to look for a black suspect instead of a white man in a black jacket. So after this call, the police department sent 2 nearby patrol officers to respond to the incident. And they encountered a white man in dark clothing walking towards the Presidio Army base. They pulled alongside the man and asked if he had seen anything suspicious.
Oh my god.
The man confirmed he had seen someone waving a gun and heading east. The officer hurried away, and the Zodiac Killer later claimed that he was in fact the same witness that those 2 officers spoke to that night. Which, could you imagine?
I feel like in description cases like that, they should have to, like, it should be protocol to, like, go back and re-listen. low key. Because the phone calls are recorded.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That pisses me. It's like so many of these cases have just like one tiny little mistake that just changes the trajectory of like the entire case.
Right. Right.
Ugh.
It's crazy.
Damn.
I know. When police arrived on the scene, Paul Stine was declared dead. The area was searched, but by the time the killer had already disappeared. So, like we said, he had stumbled upon those cops and he kind of disappeared into the night. The teenage witness helped the police artists make a composite sketch of the man that they saw in Stine's cab. The two patrol officers who questioned the witness near the scene realized that it may have been the Zodiac. Duh. They put two and two together. So they also helped develop a sketch of the suspect. Police assumed that the murder was a result of a robbery that took place, but not necessarily related to the Zodiac Killer at all. Which, I don't know why they assumed that way.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, it connects later, but I don't know. I don't know why they assumed right off the bat. So on October 14th, he mailed a bloody piece of Stine's t-shirt, or shirt that he was wearing, to the San Francisco Chronicle. He included a letter where he boasted about the murder and claimed to have hid near the crime scene and watched the San Francisco Police Department search for him.
Ugh. Bro.
Yeah, I know. In this letter, he also threatened to shoot a tire on a school bus. He said that the children would make nice targets. Yeah. And this is a quote from him. And I'm sorry, trigger warning for everybody. I think I shall whip out a school bus some morning. Just shoot out the front tire and then pick off the little kiddies as they come bouncing out.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So this threat was published on October 15th, and this obviously caused pandemonium everywhere. People started freaking out, which obviously I would too, especially in that area. So police scrambled to respond, but they had unmarked police cars trail buses throughout the city. Planes surveyed highways to look for snipers, and bus drivers were given instructions on how to respond to an active shooter, which sucks. On October 22nd, 1969, a man named Eric Weil tricked attorney Melvin Belly into a conversation on KGO TV's AM San Francisco, claiming he was the killer. Investigators concluded Eric Welly was not the Zodiac Killer, but
Interesting.
I think they still played along in the game just to double check. So he called the Oakland Police Department and demanded to speak to Melvin Belly, or F. Lee Bailey, on TV. During the show, Eric Welly told Melvin Belly that he would not reveal his identity for fear of being executed. He arranged a rendezvous with Melvin on Mission Street in Daly City, but of course he did not show up to this meeting because it was not the killer, I don't think. So on November 10th, the Zodiac mailed a card with a 340 character cryptogram. He asked for the code to be printed on the front page. This one was harder than the first one, and it remained unsolved for 51 years.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
I know. The Zodiac ciphers were crowdsourced through a variety of websites, which led to gradual breakthroughs on the cipher, but it took a long time. The Z340 was deciphered by an international team of private citizens on December 5th, 2020.
Dang.
Yeah, 20 dude. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
The cryptogram group included American software engineer David Onrek, Australian mathematician Sam Blake, and Belgian programmer Garl van Yijk. I hope I know I butchered that. I'm very sorry. Using a program made by Jarl van Eyck called AZ Decrypt, the team ran a 650,000 possible solutions for this cipher until the program came up with the best possible match. In the decrypted message, the Zodiac denied being the man who spoke on the AM San Francisco and explained he was not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me into paradise all the sooner. Fucking crazy ass.
Ew.
Yeah. The team submitted their findings to the FBI's cryptograph racketeering records unit, which verified the decryption and concluded the decoded message gave no further clues to the Zodiac's identity. It read, "I hope you're having lots of fun in trying to catch me. That wasn't me on the TV show." Which brings up a point about me. I'm not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner. Because now have enough slaves to work for me where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise. So they are afraid of death. I am not afraid because I know that my new life is life will be an easy one in paradise death.
That is so hard.
I know, it's so hard to
listen
read.
to.
It's hard to listen to, and it's fucking hard to read because it's all fucking misspelled.
Ew.
And it's purposefully written this way to seem crazy. On November 9th, the Zodiac mailed a 7-page letter to the Chronicle. In this, he claimed he was stopped and questioned by two policemen 3 minutes after he shot Stein. He threatened to blow up a school bus and included a diagram of a bomb. The Zodiac boasted to police that they would never catch him because I have been clever for them. I have been too clever for them, he said. 1 year after the Lake Herman Road murders, on December 20th, the Zodiac mailed a letter to Melvin Belly. He enclosed another swatch of Paul Stein's shirt. He pleaded, "Please help me, I'm drowning. I cannot remain in control for much longer." Yeah. For the remainder of 1970, the Zodiac continued to communicate with authorities and press by mail. In a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle, postmarked April 20th, he wrote, "My name is blank." It followed by a 13-character cipher which has not been definitively solved yet. In the same letter, the Zodiac denied responsibility for the fatal bombing of a San Francisco police station in Golden Gate Park, because that had happened that year, but it was not him. So he wanted to make it clear it was not him. It was like,
Not me.
Not me. I'm not taking responsibility for that. He added, "There is more glory to killing a cop than a Sid because a cop can shoot back."
Ugh.
Yeah, so.
He's a freak.
He's a freak. He also included a diagram of another school bus bomb, and at the bottom of the diagram he wrote his little signature, which was the crosshairs, equals 10, and then San Francisco Police Department equals 0. So he's just taunting people.
Yeah.
He just wants to fuck with people. He's like,
ugh.
Yeah. He's just a little
Fuck him.
bully. On April 28th, 1970, the Zodiac mailed a greeting card to the Chronicle. He wrote, "I hope you enjoy yourselves when I have my blast," in all caps. On the back of the card, the Zodiac threatened to use his bus bomb unless 2 things happened. 1, the Chronicle should write about his bomb, and people should wear some nice Zodiac buttons.
I hate this bitch.
Yeah, he's so full of himself. It's like, you guys should wear buttons with my little, like, crosshair thing.
That's like the annoying part is because a lot of these like serial killers get joy of people talking about them. And they think it's a game. So then they get even more hot-headed the more like tension they get.
Yep.
But it sucks because you have to give this attention to like these cases, but it just fuels them even more.
Right.
I fucking hate him.
I know, it's terrible. In the letter to the Chronicle, postmarked June 26, 1970, the killer was upset no one was wearing the Zodiac buttons.
Yeah, who would, you fucking idiot?
He claimed, I punished them in another way. I shot a man sitting in a parked car with a .38. This may have been a reference to a murder of a San Francisco Sergeant Richard Radich. He was shot through the window of his squad car by an unidentified gunman during a routine traffic stop. His murder is unsolved, but the San Francisco Police Department denies that the Zodiac was a suspect in the case. So it's just a coincidence, I think. An interesting dimension. A Phillips 66 road map of the San Francisco Bay Area was enclosed with the letter. At Mount Diablo, the Zodiac drew a modified crosshair symbol as a compass rose. The cardinal points were labeled 0, 3, 6, 9. Clockwise from the top, the Zodiac confirmed that the 0 to be set as the mag north. The letter concluded with a 32-character cipher.
This fucking bitch, bro.
I know, he's such a bitch. Here's the cipher here.
God. He's pissing me off.
I know. And I think that's what he wants. He just wants to fucking piss everybody off.
He's fucking pissing me off.
Yeah. The Zodiac claimed that the map and the cipher would reveal where he had buried his bombs. This one had never been definitively decoded, and no bomb was ever located. So
I wonder if like some of this stuff he's just fucking with them.
Oh,
like
I'm
there's
sure.
actually nothing. But
sure.
some stuff he's just fucking with them. Just to fuck with them.
Oh, I'm
just to waste their time.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Ugh.
In a letter postmarked July 24th, 1970, to the Chronicle, the Zodiac again complained about no one wearing the fucking buttons.
Fuck off.
He claimed to have a little list, which included the women and her baby he drove around for several hours. The details matched a woman named Kathleen Johns and description of her abduction on March 22nd for 4 months earlier. So he, these were just ones that people are trying to like match and, to try and fit. This one wasn't like definitively tied to the Zodiac, but people.
It's just like little
suspect.
Coincidence here and there, yeah.
Yeah. 2 days later, on July 26th, the Zodiac mailed another letter to the Chronicle. He again said that as someday it may happen. I have a little list, adding his own lyrics about potential victims. The letter was signed with a large Zodiac symbol and a new score that said equals 13. San Francisco Police Department 0. On October 7th, 1970, the Chronicle received a 3x5-inch card, nicknamed the 13-hole punch card, signed by the Zodiac with the symbol, the crosshair symbol, and a small cross, reportedly drawn in blood, and 13 holes were punched across the card. And then on October 27th, 1970, Paul Avery received a Halloween card signed by Z alongside with the Zodiac symbol. A handwritten note that said, "Peekaboo, you are doomed."
I have to take deep breaths at this point because I'm really angry.
Yeah, he's just like writing a fucking movie.
Like he's spiraling at this point.
Yeah.
And just like
he just wants
he wants the attention. He wants them to talk about him again.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
You're so right.
Ugh.
The Chronicle, of course, covered his threats on the front page.
No, quit doing it.
The card's postmark was from the San Francisco mailbox that afternoon. The implication of a 14th Zodiac victim was speculated based on the phrase 14 found in the card. Paul Avery refused police protection and instead started carrying a pistol on him for protection.
Who's Paul Avery again?
He was the one that got sent the Halloween card.
Is it just some random person?
I think he worked for the Chronicle.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. His colleagues wore an "I'm not Avery" button to work so that they hopefully wouldn't get murdered.
Oh my god. I would too if I was Avery.
Yeah, right? Shortly after the Halloween card, Paul Avery also received an anonymous letter about the parallels between the 1966 murder of Sherry Jo Bates and the Zodiac. In a March 13, 1971 letter to the Los Angeles Times, the Zodiac again taunted police and claimed 17 victims this time. So who knows if he's actually still killing or if he's just fucking with them or
bullshitting.
What, you know? Just toying and toying and toying and toying. Zodiac remained silent for 3 years after all that. And then just when you thought you had heard the last of him and his pygmy fucking attitude, the Chronicle received a letter from the Zodiac postmarked January 29th, 1974 from San Mateo County. It complained that the colonist Count Marco needed to feel superior to everyone else and praised The Exorcist in 1973 as the best satirical comedy that had ever been seen. So he was just like pissed that this guy liked The Exorcist. So yeah, he was pissed about the fucking Exorcist in this letter, and then he concluded the letter with the new score that said me equals 37, San Francisco
He's
Police
just bullshitting
Department
at this point.
0. Yeah.
I don't think he has any more. I think he's just bullshitting at this point.
I totally agree.
Because 17 to 37.
Right. Come on.
Within 3 years, and then there's also not any mention of other murders taking place.
Right. Right.
So I think he's just bullshitting because he's a fucking bitch.
He's a bitch. A psychiatrist named David Van Nuys theorized that the Zodiac stopped killing because he had a multiple personality disorder, which I thought was interesting. It may have lessened over time, as often it can, which could also explain the reduced intensity of the Zodiac's letters. Many more unconfirmed Zodiac letters were sent to the media, but they were never obviously sure if they were still the Zodiac or if it's like a copycat or whatever. On August 1st, 1973, a letter was mailed to Albany Times Union in New York. The return address was just the Zodiac symbol. The writer promised to kill again on August 10th. A 3-line code in the letter was supposed to reveal the name and location of the victim. FBI crypt analysts deciphered the code as it was redacted, so we can't see.
Damn.
By the Albany Medical Center. This is only the beginning. No murder matched the details in the letter, and no handwriting was definitive to match the Zodiac. So they don't really think it was a Zodiac killing. Then it was maybe a copycat, but they're not really sure. So I included it.
It's interesting that they retracted.
I know it was because it was a victim, I think, but I wonder if it was. I don't know what the circumstances were. So
that sucks, but it also kind of makes sense of why they did.
Yeah. The Chronicle also received an anonymous letter postmarked July 8th, 1974, complaining that an anti-feminist columnist, Marco Sapini, the letter was signed The Red Phantom, red with rage. I don't know. They were just saying that he was anti-feminist, I guess. And I'm not really sure why a lot of these people think that it's the Zodiac, other than, I guess, the way the letters were written.
How high are you?
I'm pretty high. Why?
Your eyes.
Am I not making sense?
No, you are making
Okay.
sense.
I
But
was like,
your eyes are so small now. Like, so small. I love it. I just caught a glimpse in the monitor and I was like, oh, she high. I love that for you, queen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay. So there's no consensus regarding the number of victims the Zodiac Killer actually killed, or the length of his criminal spree, but in 1976, the San Francisco Police Department Detective Dave Toshi said, "We know for sure that he killed at least 6." And the Zodiac had a personal box score of 37. Robert Graysmith estimated about 49 Zodiac victims. Many high-profile murders and attacks in the 1960s and 70s were seen as possible Zodiac crimes, but none of them had been confirmed. Over the years, many people have guessed and speculated on who the Zodiac Killer could be, but we haven't gotten any closer to revealing his true identity. And all of these murders remain unsolved to this day.
I fucking hate him.
I know.
I actually do.
I know. He's a psychopath. An egotistical attention whore of a psychopath.
I don't know which one pisses me off more. O.J. Simpson or the Zodiac Killer.
I know. They're pretty fucking bad, aren't they?
I hate them both so much.
Yeah. Are those your top 2 ones for the whole season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they just make me mad.
Yeah. You're fucking insane, aren't they?
I'm trying to think of the craziest one that we've had.
The guys in the ceiling?
I was just thinking about that. That one's crazy.
Or the 2 mistaken identities?
That one's wild. They're all so fucked up.
They're horrible.
They're all horrible.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this one?
Fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he could be even still alive to this day, but really old. Which is crazy.
Oh no, Kylie. Oh, never mind. I thought your camera froze because you were just in that pose for a minute.
I was listening.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I just hate that he's toying with the police.
Yeah.
Just to get that attention.
Yeah. He's the attention whore. For sure.
Yeah. Not a fan.
Not a fan either. Is that what you thought the case would be when you requested it?
I don't even remember requesting it. I remember us talking about it, but I don't remember, me saying, hey, we should do this. So it was a surprise.
Yeah.
Because when you told me for weeks, you requested this one, I'm like, I don't even remember what I requested.
Yeah. Well, here it was. The
Here
Zodiac
it was.
Killer. Excuse me. Whew. I'm so high. Thank you for joining us for our season 10. Oh, not season 10. Season 3, episode 10. Our final episode of this season. We'll be back soon with season 4. Oh, with season 4. And some more cases for you guys. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below.
And also, during our little season break, make sure you follow our socials because we'll be posting some more clips that you haven't seen before. So if you want to keep up with us during the little break, make sure you follow our socials.
Yeah. Until next time, stay high.
Stay safe.
And thank you for watching.
Woo.
Bye-bye.
Wee woo.
Till next time.
Bye.
Farewell.
Hey guys, Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when we drop our next episode. If you want to see more of the host Kai, follow her at Chronic Chaos on all socials. Also, follow Queen Reefer at Queen Reefer on all socials, and if you'd like, catch her on Twitch where she streams Monday and Friday.